So whatever it is, if you're having bad days, if you're a day that maybe you're struggling with work, you're struggling with your training, maybe you've gone for a breakup, maybe you've lost someone or something like that, and it's just these bad days, bad times, and you're really struggling to see the positive in everything. Like I say, you just woke up, the black clouds are there, whatever it is, that's when you read this letter. So hi guys, how are we? For those of you new here, I'm a psychology student trained to be a therapist, so on this channel we talk about positivity, mindset, well-being, mental health and all things like that. So if that sounds of interest, stick around. Write yourself a letter. This is another video that may make me sound a little bit crazy. Sometimes I talk about things figuratively. This one isn't one of them. This one I mean literally, write yourself a letter. I want to shout out to the podcast A Lot to Talk About, which is actually where I got this idea. I'd heard something like it before, but it was interesting to hear someone actually discuss exactly sort of what they do and what they put in that letter and everything like that. And that was the inspiration for me making this video. Before I go into the letter itself, I want to do a bit of background basically. When you get yourself, or when you're just in a mood, when you're down, like one of those proper, not just sort of like, I don't know, you're a bit upset or whatever. I mean like when you're in a mood, you know those days. It might just be that you're tired, might be that you're hungry, or it might just be that you are having one of those really dark days. And it's one of those days where you can't see the good in everything, everything's a nightmare, everything's bad, you don't see any hope, whatever it is. And what's so difficult about those days is that no one can talk you out of it. Because it's an intrinsic feeling, it's internal and it comes from you, the only person who can get you out of it is yourself. But at the same time, you can't get yourself out of it because it's coming within you and you can't speak to yourself. Except you can. And that's where this letter comes in. The letter comes in because it allows you to speak to yourself, but from a different time. So the idea is, if you find a day when you're in a good headspace, so this isn't for when you're down to start off with, this is a preventative measure. So if you're having a good day, feeling motivated, feeling happy, whatever it is, that's the day that you sit down and you write a letter to yourself. But the letter is not for your good days, the letter is for your bad days. But you're allowing yourself to basically give yourself a pep talk, but again, from yourself on a day when you're in a good mood. This all might still sound a little bit crazy to people, and I know there are some people who really don't like meditation, journaling, anything like that, where it's sort of going within, but I promise you this is something that's really going to help, because we can all relate to what I've just spoke about there. Those days when it might not even be that something has necessarily gone wrong. You are just, for whatever reason, in a foul mood. And again, it might be a physiological reason, you haven't eaten, you haven't slept. I know I have both of those things massively. I just had it the weekend gone, which is another reason that I wanted to make this video. I was literally on holiday in France, having a lovely time, but I barely slept because we were just out and about on holiday, and we didn't eat for ages, and we walked all morning and I was absolutely starving, and by midday I just completely wrecked the entire weekend because I was in such a bad mood for no reason and couldn't talk myself out of it. And that's what's really frustrating, is consciously you often know I'm in a bad mood and I have no idea why. And even though you are consciously aware of the mood you're in, you can't change it because it is coming within. I've just done a module at my university course about emotion, cognition, recognition and everything like that. And part of what they say is, when you get yourself into a bad mood, it almost becomes physiologically impossible to get yourself out of it without some sort of external stimuli, because you are creating the bad mood that you're in. So whatever it is, if you're having bad days, if you're a day that maybe you're struggling with work, you're struggling with your training, maybe you've gone for a breakup, maybe you've lost someone or something like that, and it's just these bad days, bad times, and you're really struggling to see the positive in everything. Like I say, you just woke up, the black clouds are there, whatever it is, that's when you read this letter. So let's quickly talk about what we're going to put in the letter. This is why it's so important to write the letter when you're in a good headspace, because we've seen the opposite of being in a bad mood. It's when you're in a good mood. It's when you can't actually see any problems. Everything seems okay. You feel great about training, you feel great about your work, you're really happy about the future, you see all these bright things coming your way. And it's almost impossible, likewise the other way, it's likewise impossible for someone to ruin your mood because the happiness is coming intrinsically. So first of all, it's important in this letter to write about how it's not all bad. You don't always have bad days. Bad days, they might be at the time more regular than not, but they are not 100% of the time, because if they were 100% of the time, you couldn't write this letter. You do have good days, and that's so important. Write about how you're feeling, write about how fulfilled you're feeling, how motivated, how independent, how happy, whatever it is, all those positive emotions that you're feeling. Remind yourself that you are feeling those things and you can feel those things. It's just right in that moment, you're not feeling them and you're not seeing them coming. Remind yourself of all the bright things that you see coming in the future. Remind yourself of all the happy things you're thinking about in that moment, all the things you're excited for, all the things you've got coming up. If it is sort of training or work or something like that, remind yourself why you got started, why you started the business, why you started trading, whatever it is. Remind yourself of the purpose of what keeps you going. And finally, most importantly, remind yourself it is a mood, it is a feeling, it is not a destination. It will pass. It may not feel like it in that moment, but the most important thing to remind yourself in this letter, for when you read it, when you are having one of those bad days, is those feelings will pass. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I do appreciate you guys who stick around. If you did find any of it useful, please do consider liking, subscribing. As always, comment and other thoughts you have below. I drop 2 new videos every week, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, guys.